Hi, this is Pat Bulger, along with my trusty sidekick Bonnie of the Pat Bulger Realty Group. And today we want to talk about the Green Bay Packers. That's right, Packer Nation. You have risen up, and we have somehow managed to get Ted Thompson out of the GM position. Now, I have to talk to you a little bit about this. There's
in the breadbasket. He was right. He was right.
That's right. Well, I don't know if that was right, but I mean, what happened is that, and what I want to talk about is that the national media picked up, and I think forced this hand. The national media, not our local media was very, very supportive of Ted Thompson. I'm talking about guys Dan Needles and Mark Tauscher and Gabe from part of the Homer and Gabe thing. And these guys were very, very supportive of Ted Thompson and the job he was doing. In fact, they would talk down people on their talk shows and belittle them and stuff. But it was the national media that started to take notice finally and stuff. And starting with Eric Dickerson, and then going to Chris Sims, and then even Max, I don't know what is his Hellerman or something from his First Take, and these guys started to talk about the Packers, and I think that's what kind of finally drove it. And that's what upsets me about this is don't you think our local sports people should be? I mean, if you're in Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, and you're not doing your job, these guys are brutal and they're calling you out and stuff. But in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, these guys were all super supportive of Ted Thompson, and people would say stuff and it'd be like, oh, Ted Thompson's amazing. What are you talking about? And so anyway, it took. But I don't know. It's a lot of guys calling these talk shows and stuff, and they want to get along with the fellows. They want to get along with Homer and these guys and stuff, and so they kind of
chime in the same things.
Yes, thank you. They
chime
do.
in the same type of stuff.
Yes,
over and over again.
Yes. So I want to give two guys credit though.
Okay.
Is Homer last year was a big fan of Ted Thompson's. He was like, "In Ted we trust." So this year, after Aaron Rodgers got hurt, I could see the light had gone on with Homer, and he did not come across and say anything negative about Ted Thompson, but he didn't endorse him either. Here's an interesting thing. So not this Friday, but last Friday, Matt, right before New Year's, as Homer's doing a thing on his show, and it's Anything Goes Friday. And Matt's our cameraman. He's so those
We'll bring him into this.
Yes, we'll bring Matt in because anyway. So Homer's got Anything Goes Friday or No Rules Friday, whatever and stuff. So they're going to do some polls because they like to do polls. One of the polls is should Don Capers be fired? And Gabe and they said, yeah, we should do that poll. Then the next one was, should Mike McCarthy be fired? And Gabe and Homer, yeah. And then all of a sudden Ted Thompson says, Homer says, should Ted Thompson be fired? And Gabe, who's kind of a know-it-all, loudmouth guy like that, said, no, nobody would want that. That'd be even a waste of time to do that.
Just a gas.
That one, yeah. No, who would want Ted Thompson fired? You'd have to be crazy. And stuff, and so a year before is one of these things when people would call up and they'd say that Ted should be let go. Gabe would be like, who would you hire? And they'd get angry and stuff, and they'd kind of like we all should know all the GM candidates that are out there. So anyway, so Gabe says this, says, why in the world would we even bother? Nobody would want to fire Ted Thompson. So I only listen to this in my car as I'm driving around from appointments and stuff, right? So to sports radio. So later on, I've done my appointment. I'm back in the car again. I missed everything, but now they're talking about the polls, and they decided they did a poll. They did a poll, and I think it was like 80-some% of the people wanted Don Capers fired.
Oh,
okay,
that much?
Yes,
that many? Okay.
yeah. They did a poll, and I think it was like 36 or 37% of the people wanted Mike McCarthy fired. They did another poll, and it's like 77% of the people, I'm making these up a little bit, but they're close, wanted Ted Thompson fired. And I said, thank you, Packer Nation. they sit there, they spew us all this crap about, they like we're blind idiots and stuff, and Gabe, Needles, Chaucer rather, not just you guys, and a lot of people buy it. They're listening to you guys like you're the experts and stuff. And it didn't take any expert to know that Ted Thompson has done a very, very bad job of building a roster. It's been a horrible job of building a roster. Okay, so let us talk about. It happens, right? And they're the old boy net, Bob Harlan hired him, and him and Mike Murphy and whatever, right? Mark Murphy. So now they're not firing Ted, they're moving him down the hall. Whatever, right? So they're letting him save face and stuff and things, and so Tauscher, I'm listening to Mark Tauscher, and I liked Mark Tauscher, and the first time I thought, well, maybe, was when Eric Dickerson came out and said, at the beginning of the year, that if you took Aaron Rodgers out of this team, that the Packers are a horrible football team, and Mark Tauscher was terribly upset by that, And of course now, Eric Dickerson has been proven to have been right. And even Homer noticed they've proven to have been right. I mean, this team, after Aaron Rodgers went down, they had to go into overtime to beat the Cleveland Browns, the worst team in football. They didn't have a win. They probably should have beat the Packers. That we had to go to overtime to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were shooting themselves in the foot. It wasn't that we beat the Buccaneers; it was that the Buccaneers beat themselves. And then I think we beat the Bears like on the wrong day. I've seen the Bears. I've never seen the Bears play worse. So we got 3 wins without Aaron Rodgers against the 3 weakest teams in the league. But the point was, we were right there with these guys. That's where we are. So Mark Tauscher makes an interesting point. He says he doesn't mention anything. He's not mad that they fired Don Capers. He has no, but he says, "Geez, I'm upset that these people are happy that Ted Thompson got fired. Why would anybody be happy to see somebody get fired?" And this is Mark Tauscher saying. But of course, when it comes to Don Capers, he doesn't care. But when it comes to Ted Thompson, he cares. And then he goes on further to say that if Aaron Rodgers wouldn't have got hurt, they'd have been in the playoffs, and Ted Thompson's job would have been fine.
Interesting.
Right. But my point is that Tauscher says that if Aaron Rodgers hadn't got hurt, the Packers would have been in the playoffs, and Ted Thompson's job would have been fine, and he's absolutely right. That's what would have happened. So today on one of the talk shows, they talked about Aaron Rodgers is probably one of these athletes that comes along once in a lifetime. That's how much of a football player he is, once in a lifetime football player. So, and because he can take a team like the Packers, who are basically the Cleveland Browns, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Chicago Bears, and just this one man can make them into a playoff team. Now, the trouble with Mark Tauscher and Dan Needles and this Gabe fella, I don't even know his last name and stuff, is that that's not good enough. I mean, Ted Thompson, all he did, he got basically even a blind pig finds an acorn, right? He managed to draft, Aaron Rodgers, and that's the only thing this guy's got going from outside of that. They won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, I might add, right? And since then, this roster's gone steadily downhill. And anyway, so the team the team is just that bad, and we shouldn't do that to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers deserves better. He deserves to have a good team around him, that can win the Super Bowl. None of us are supposed to be, hey, just do good enough. Do your job. Did they say, Matt, is it okay for you to be just good enough? No, of course not. Bonnie, is it okay for you here to just be good enough?
No.
Does anybody ever say, just be good enough? You don't have to. Don't be we all want to be the best and stuff, and in whatever thing too. What's the whole definition of being professional football every year? Is it to make the playoffs? Gabe, Mark, Dan? No, it's to win the Super Bowl, you idiots. To win the Super Bowl. Not just so you. In order to win the Super Bowl, you need more than just Aaron Rodgers. He can just take you so far by himself. He needs help. He needs an offensive line. He needs wide receivers that can get open. He needs a running game. He needs a defense, a pass rush. Guys that can tackle and guys that can defend. One of the guys, this Colin, I can't think of his name. He's a national guy. He said, what Green Bay is? It's Buffalo, but smaller. Buffalo hasn't been in the playoffs forever. And if we took away Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, gosh, I don't even know. Can you imagine how god-awful it would be? But that's what it might be like. Everybody wanted to sit there now and crucify this poor Brett Hundley and stuff like that. But that's what you get, you guys. That's an average NFL quarterback. That's what you get. After we're done with this wonderful ride that we have, it'd be nice to have more than 2 Super Bowls, wouldn't it? I think it would. We need to give this guy a team. We need to have some people around him. And so, now there's talk about the new general manager, and somebody wants it to be, the finance manager or whatever for the Packers. And I hope to God not. Let's hope it's somebody that knows football. The Packer tree has been good. After Ted Thompson left Seattle, Seattle hired, I think it was John Schneider, an ex-Packer guy. And look at all the Pro Bowlers that Seattle has. The team is just stacked with them. Look at what the Packers have. What have we had? We've had, Aaron Rodgers, Greg Jennings, Clay Matthews. I don't know if there's anybody else. And look at the Seattle Seahawks. It's just been an embarrassment of Pro Bowl players. The same thing, one of the other fellows is that Richie McKenzie's at the Raiders. Look at the turnaround they've had and stuff. These are guys that seem to know how to go out and get people done. I would think anybody that you could get from the Patriots organization to see what the heck the Patriots do would be wonderful, right? So there's all kinds of guys out there, I think, that you can go to that can learn how to make this a winning thing. So anyway, what was the main takeaway of this is what the heck was wrong with the Milwaukee media? What is it? Were they scared of Ted Thompson, or they weren't denied access, or what was the matter that these guys can't be that dumb? They all couldn't have missed it, right? I mean, come on, average guys like me and it turned out a whole Packer Nation. 76% of the people, despite being fed a bunch of bull crap from all the local pundits, including the writer from the Journal, whoever he is, they still all. What was his name?
Silverstein?
Yes, thank you. He never said anything. We all still realize that it's not, you can be mad at Don Capers, and maybe he was a bad defensive coordinator and should have been fired. I can't say that he was, though, because look at what he had to work with. There was nothing there. The guy had no talent, and how many Pro Bowl players were on that defense? Nothing. He had to take his best pass rusher and make him into a middle linebacker and stuff. Who wants to do that? Nobody wants to do that. So it wasn't, Capers maybe had to go, but really who had to go was the guy, that Ted Thompson, that was leaving him with no talent, right? So a lot of guys said maybe Mike McCarthy has to go, and I couldn't say that because, but anyway, my message to you guys is we need to demand better from our sportscasters, our local sportscasters. They owe us the truth. They don't owe us whatever. I mean, what did they get? Any nice free tickets to the Packer games or something, or trips to the Super Bowl, whatever. They owe us the truth, for God's sakes. So that's my takeaway. Let's take those guys out next. Nitos, you're gone. Gabe, Jesus, what the heck's wrong with that guy?
Hire Pat Bulger.
Mark Tauscher. I thought Mike Tauscher was going to be a sharp guy. He sounds like the best guy in the world and stuff. And yet, oh my God, nobody's thinking Ted Thompson got a rawer deal than Mark Tauscher. So then Tauscher here, he even says that the Packers should hire a search committee to find a new GM. What the hell? They're football people. What do they need to hire a search committee for? Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. And thanks for letting me go on my rant and get on my high horse. This is Pat Bolger and Bonnie with the Pat Bolger Realty Group. Thanks for listening. And remember, we're the #1 real estate team out here in Lake Country. If you're buying or selling a home, please give us a call. Thank you, and thanks for watching.